Hello everyone, welcome in today. We're going to do another mock draft. This is going to be version 7.0, and this one here is going to be my last one with trades. The final mock draft I do won't have any trades, and we'll just go on the order that is currently set. So let's start it off here at top with Chicago. They're going to take Caleb Williams. There's really no question about that. He's a fantastic player. He's maybe not the generational prospect people hyped him up to be at first, but he is a very, very good player, and I don't see the Bears passing on him. So at pick 2, the Washington Commanders are up. It isn't the pick I would make, but I'm going to put Jayden Daniels here because that's where kind of all the hype is right now. My problem with Jayden Daniels is I don't like that he doesn't step up into the pocket and throw. He either tucks and runs or he tries to go backwards. And those are just two traits that never work out in the NFL. When I watch him play, I see a little bit of Johnny Manziel with more athletic ability. I know that's kind of a crazy comparison, but it's just kind of what he's backyard, but he does have a little more accuracy, I will say that, than Manziel ever had. But he's just kind of a backyard quarterback, and I don't know. I just don't trust it. So at pick 3, the New England Patriots are up, and I'm going to go with Drake May. I don't see him being the project that everybody else does. Does he have some footwork issues? Yes, but he comes out of the air raid, and in the air raid offense, it's known that that's an offense that doesn't care so much about your timing and all that. It's all about space. So Drake May's game in college was always look for an area of the field. So yeah, his footwork's going to be off because they don't care. They just want him to get the ball into this area. And I think in the NFL, when he plays a little bit more on time and he gets his feet underneath him and going, as long as he does that and puts in the work to develop his footwork, I think you'll see the accuracy issues that happened where he just sprays a ball every now and then improve. So up next is Arizona. And here, we're not going to have them do a trade. They're going to take Marvin Harrison Jr., who to me is surprisingly close to the other two receivers in this class. I think most people just assume that Marv is the best player and he's gonna be the best player. My only issue with Marvin Harrison Jr. is I'm not sure the reason behind him not testing. And that just raises a little bit of red flags. But on the field, kid's awesome. And I mean, there's no questioning that at all. Honestly, his injury against Georgia in the playoff game 2 years ago is the only reason him and CJ Stroud didn't likely win a national championship. If he stayed healthy, I think Ohio State wins it all. Next up is the LA Chargers. And I think they want to get back. And I think that's why they're the logical trade area. So I'm going to have Minnesota come up. And the value of the trades don't really matter. They're going to give up both first-round picks. And honestly, I think they'll have to give up a future first-round pick as well. But Minnesota's now up here, and they're going to take J.J. McCarthy. McCarthy is quite the projection, and I'm not sure how I feel about him, to be honest with you. He makes plays, and in third down scenarios, he looks like he has everything there, but they just didn't have him throw the ball a lot. And a lot of that's on Jim Harbaugh, but it does bring up the question of, did they trust him enough to go win him the game? Well, in the playoffs this year, it looked like they did. He made plays every time they needed to, whether it was with his feet or with his arm, and that really does speak to the type of player J.J. McCarthy is. But he's young, and he has a lot of developing to do, in my opinion. I think he'd do great in this Kevin O'Connell offense, or any one of the ones with like the Rams, any Kyle Shanahan or Sean McVay style offense. I think he's going to be your prototypical quarterback for that style of offense. So I think he'll go to Minnesota, and even though it's going to be a lot to give up to go get him, I think it'll be worth it. Next up's the Giants at number 6. A lot of people give him Malik Neighbors. I'm going Rome Odunze. Couple reasons here. One, the Giants need a little bit more size at receiver. They can't go out there with just slot receivers all the time on the field. 2, I think Rome Odunze is actually a better player than Malik Neighbors, and I know it's crazy for some people, but it's not by much. I just think Rome's your traditional number 1 receiver. And I think when you can find that guy, you don't pass him up. I think a real, true number 1 receiver is far more important than Malik Neighbors, who's a slot big play guy. And I do think that also adjusts the floor of Rome Odunze's game. I think that he'll just end up being a better player, even at his worst, than Malik Neighbors would be at his worst. That's just my opinion. At 7, Tennessee's on the clock here, and I see Joe Alt going here. If the Chargers don't trade out, I think that's the only way the Titans don't end up with Joe Alt. I could be wrong, but that's just my guess. He is a phenomenal tackle prospect. He has improved his game each year. He has tremendous length. He has great athleticism. I don't see how that doesn't work out. Next up is Atlanta here at pick 8. And with Malik Neighbors on the board here in Chicago, within biting distance here of getting him, I think this is a potential trade scenario for somebody who wants to come up and get a receiver who could potentially be a big play number 1 receiver. So let's do a trade. Atlanta decided to go ahead and trade with Indianapolis and drop back to pick 15. The Colts came up. They're going to take Malik Nabers here. I think Anthony Richardson could use another playmaking type receiver. They have Josh Downs for the slot. They have Michael Pittman as their big X number 1 player. I think Malik Nabers can come in there, move, be the run after catch type guy, and I think that would be a phenomenal pick for the Colts. So now at number 9, Chicago's up, and I think here they're going to go edge. And although Dallas Turner is not my top player, actually, I changed my mind. The Bears are not going to go edge. They're going to trade here. So here at pick 9, the Bears decide they're going to drop back to pick 14, and New Orleans is going to come up so that way they can get their top tackle. The Saints have been known to be an aggressive team, and I think that they need a right tackle with Ryan Ramczyk potentially not playing, and then at left tackle, Trevor Penning just honestly hasn't worked out at all. So this may seem a little bit weird, but I'm going to give him Olu Fashanu. He hasn't played on the right side, but I believe he can play on the right side. And honestly, if Ryan Ramczyk somehow can get healthy and get cleared, I'd rather have him play than Trevor Penning. And if you draft a right tackle only like Talise Fuanga, it just doesn't make sense that you're just still stuck playing Trevor Penning at left tackle. So I'm going to give him Olu Fashanu at pick 9. That brings the New York Jets up on the clock at 10. And I don't think they go Brock Bowers. Everybody seems to think they go Bowers. I think that Aaron Rodgers doesn't use young players. He's a lot like Tom Brady was. It doesn't make sense to add a young weapon because Aaron Rodgers isn't going to use him. So for me, they're going to go tackle. And although I think Troy Fontenot makes a little bit more sense for him because he can be versatile across the entire O-line, as to where the more you watch Talise Fuanga and you look at his athleticism and his size, it looks like he's more of a right tackle only or interior guy. Fontenot, on the other hand, you can play at left, right, and interior. So if I'm the Jets, I'm taking Fontenot. But everybody has talked about Joe Douglas being high on Talise Fuanga, so I'm going to put Fuanga to the Jets at pick 10. Next up's the Chargers at pick 11. They traded down, and they're still able to get everything that they want out of this class. They're going to take J.C. Latham, big hulking right tackle. Honestly, this is too high for me. I wouldn't take him till late 20s, early 30s. I don't know why, but every time I watched Alabama play, and I watched him at right tackle, I could see dominant plays, but I feel like his floor is so low, it's ridiculous. I could be wrong, but I just see some of these big hulking tackles, and, there's a lot more struggles with them than I think people realize. Next up's Denver at pick 12, and here they're just going to take their quarterback. They're going to go Penix, and they're going to run that to the commissioner there and announce the pick. Unfortunately for them in this scenario, nobody wanted to trade back and come up for other players, so they had to stick and pick, and I think Penix is QB4, maybe even QB3, probably QB4 for me. Him and JJ McCarthy are close, and honestly, him and Jaden Daniels are even close. I don't know, every time I watch Daniels, I see him make good plays, and I see how he won the Heisman, but I'm telling you, I didn't like that. I didn't see him reading the field as much as I would like, and I think Penix is just an NFL-style quarterback, and I honestly think if he didn't have injury history, and if he was a right-handed quarterback, he wouldn't be viewed the way he's viewed nowadays. But Penix at 12 to me is good value. I actually have him rated as like player 20-ish in this class. So probably like 21, 22, just outside of the guys that are like 100% first round picks. I think at 12 for a quarterback, that's just good value. Next up's the Vegas Raiders at pick 13. And here, they're just going to stick and pick. There's no reason to take quarterback. Bo Nix is not worth this high of a pick. I wouldn't take Bo Nix in the first round. He is a round 2 guy who may be able to be a starter, but at worst is probably like a good backup. To me, you don't take that guy in the first round. Like, I think his upside as a starter is pretty low. It reminds me a lot of Mac Jones with athleticism, I gotta be honest with you. And Mac Jones was not a first round draft pick in my eyes, and although my New England Patriots decided to make him one, I just don't think that you should make the same mistake with Bo Nix. So for the Vegas Raiders here, I think tackle's a big need for him, specifically right tackle, but I also think they could use corner. And as you look at the tackle class, the problem is further down the board you go, the harder it is to find a starting tackle in the NFL. And it's been shown time and time again. So for the Vegas Raiders, they're going to stick and pick, and they are actually going to take Amarius Mims. And this is high. I wouldn't take him this high. But his athletic ability and what he showed on tape when he did play is the reason I think he's going to go much higher than he should in the draft. Next up, Chicago at pick 14. They traded back, and they still get Dallas Turner. They're happy with how everything turned out. This is kind of wild when you look at how the draft played out, that there hasn't been any defensive players taken until this slot. I don't think this will happen, but it could. Next up's Atlanta, who dropped back as well at pick 15, and they're just going to go ahead and take Quinyon Mitchell. He is one of my favorite players in this draft. He's somebody I'm rooting for. He has great size, great athleticism, and I believe he's a day one could potentially be your top corner and your team would be okay. Not quite like Sauce Gardner, but he could have an impact like that in the long haul. I really, really think Quinyon Mitchell has all the tools to be a fantastic corner. At pick 16, Seattle's on the clock. And for the Seahawks, I'm going to go Byron Murphy. I think that they need somebody who can be like a Justin Madubuike, and although I'm still not sure about putting Johnny Newton behind Byron Murphy, I can see what people are talking about with him. And I do think he will go higher because he has the better size of the two players. So I'm going to mock Byron Murphy ahead of Jerzon Newton, even though I'm not sure that's what I would do if I was in the draft room. At pick 17, the Jacksonville Jaguars are on the clock. This team has to go defense, and I don't see any way around it. For me, if I'm them, I go Cooper DeJean, and I think that's who I'm going to go ahead and give him here. Even over Terry and Arnold. I don't think they necessarily need a slot guy. I think they need somebody to play outside. And Arnold, I'm not sure. He should be able to play on the outside, but he may be best in the slot in the NFL. At least with Cooper DeJean, even if he doesn't work out at outside corner like some people don't think he can, I think he's a bigger version of Terry and Arnold who could play in the slot, who's a better tackler and is more versatile. So for me, I'm going to put Cooper DeJean at pick 17. Next up, Cincinnati at pick 18. And with Brock Bowers on the board here, there he is. I was like, where'd he go? You got to put Brock Bowers to the Bengals. I'm just not sure how I feel about Bowers. Reportedly, he did hold a private workout that he finally ran and did his testing, and he did well. Although some reports said he didn't do testing, so I don't know. But his size is one of the things I don't love about him when it comes to the NFL. And as a tweener, sometimes that just doesn't work out. Now, the NFL's much better at moving tight ends around and hiding their weaknesses than they ever used to be. So I could see him working out easily, but I just have a weird feeling that he could end up being like Evan Ingram if he goes to the wrong situation. You see the athletic ability and you know he has ability, but he's never going to be more than just a check down option that doesn't do much for you really in the long run. I don't know. I just have that worry about Bowers. At pick 19, the Rams are on the clock, and they're going to take Jared Verse. That's an easy pick. You don't have to worry about the injury issues of Laiatu Latu. And I think as a power rusher, he can make a big impact for the Rams. Next up's Pittsburgh at pick 20. Now, the Steelers need interior O-line. And although I want to give him Jackson Powers Johnson, the injury history and the issues with his injuries potentially into the future that have been reported is going to be the reason I give him Graham Barton here to play on the interior of their O-line. At pick 21, the Dolphins are on the clock, and I think they also need interior O-line. I still think they could use a tackle, and with Troy Fontenot here, just take him and play him at guard if you have to, and then you have a tackle backup when your left tackle gets hurt. Not if, when he misses games. Next up's the Eagles at pick 22. They're going to take Terry and Arnold here, and they're not going to think about it. This is kind of a slide for him, truthfully, and I don't think he'll be here this long. At pick 23, the Chargers are back up on the clock. They took J.C. Latham here in the first round at pick 11, and a lot of people think they'll swing back and grab their receiver here. I'll be honest with you, I'm not sure that's what Jim Harbaugh is going to want to do. I think he's going to stick and pick, and I think they're going to go defense, and I'm going to give him Jerzon Newton here at pick 23. At pick 24, Dallas is up, and for me, this is always going to be a tackle. They have to get somebody in here. And Tyler Guyton's the last one available in my opinion, so they take him here at pick 24. Nobody else I would take in the first round. Jordan Morgan maybe, but I'm not sure about that. You could maybe take him, play him at guard and move Tyler Smith to tackle, but I think you leave Tyler Smith at left guard. He is an all-pro at left guard. Why would you weaken him by moving him to left tackle? I just think it would be a bad decision on the Cowboys' behalf. Next up's Green Bay at pick 25. This is actually a bit of a difficult pick because they do have a pretty good team, and I think they need tackle. I even think they could use interior of the O-line, but I'm not sure with Jackson Powers Johnson's injury history what's going to happen there, and his questions were surrounding the injuries. So for the Packers here, they're going to go ahead and boost up their cornerback room, and they're going to take Kool-Aid McKinstry. That leaves the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on the clock at pick 26, and Laiatu Latu's here. Take a chance on the injuries and bring him on in. At pick 27, Arizona's up. They got Marvin Harrison at number 4, and I think they're pretty happy overall with how this fell because Nate Wiggins is here, and they can take Nate Wiggins at pick 27. At pick 28, Buffalo's up, and they need a receiver bad, truthfully, and I think with Brian Thomas being here, they're going to take him. I don't think he lasts this long either. I think he goes more in the teens to early 20s, but he failed in this situation, so they're going to take him. Pick 29 is the Detroit Lions. Now, they need corner help, but the thing is, really don't see a first-round corner in this group. Honestly, my next highest rated corner might be TJ Tampa or Mikey Sainistro. I don't take either one of them guys in the first round in this situation, so the Lions have to look elsewhere. Well, you go to the interior of the O-line. Jackson Powers Johnson's here, and I'm going to take a chance and put him at 29. I could see him falling into the second round. Interior O-linemen fall all the time, so it wouldn't shock me, but with his talent being here at pick 29 and his mentality, he'll fit in Detroit. At pick 30, the Baltimore Ravens are up on the clock, and for the Ravens, they're going to take A.D. Mitchell, and I don't blame him at all. He's a fantastic player. Now, there is some off-the-field questions with him that could potentially drop him out of the first round, but we'll have to wait and see on that, and see how true all the reports are. At pick 31, San Francisco's up. I've consistently given him interior of the offensive line or tackle, so I'm going to go to tackle, and I'm going to give him Jordan Morgan here at pick 31. And he could potentially solve both issues if they need him to. He could play right tackle over Colton McKivitz, or you can slide him inside if you need him. Now that leaves the Super Bowl winning Kansas City Chiefs here on the clock at pick 32. With the way this board fell, I actually do think they would consider trading back in this scenario. And for me, when you look at all the players available, there's a guy like Chop Robinson here that teams could be really interested in. Maybe Bo Nix. I wouldn't trade up to get him in the first round. I think the receivers are going to drop into the second round a little bit here. So I'm going to have a team move up to pick 32. So I don't know what the issue is here. It's not going to let me do the trade, but it would be Washington moving up to make this pick. It's not going to be the Chiefs. It says the Chiefs, but it's going to be Washington, and they're going to take Chop Robinson here. Let's take a look at the results here. Caleb Williams goes 1, Jaden Daniels 2, Drake May at 3, Marvin Harrison at 4, and then 5's JJ McCarthy. Other than that, I wouldn't say this is anything too crazy. Nick's going at 12 is a little high, or Penix going at 12 is a little high, but I could see it. He is a fantastic player. As we scroll through and look, you had some guys drop that don't normally drop, like a Brian Thomas Jr. and a Jackson Powers Johnson. Now, this pick 32 is not to the Chiefs. This is supposed to be the Commanders. It just wouldn't let the trade go through for some reason. So that is the Commanders trading up to get ahead of the Panthers to take Chop Robinson at the end of round 1. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. Please like and subscribe. I'm LDJ11. Thank you for watching. Have a great day, and I'm out.
Welcome to my party, we're just getting started. A life is a dream or a nightmare scarring. Hand me a drink cause I think I'm going all in. Get me a shrink who can catch me when I'm falling. Cover up my scars, flip the handlebars. Crashing in my car, wake up in a bar. I'll be a superstar.